I'm not crying, you're crying. What is up, Netflix fans, and welcome back to my channel. I just watched the brand new Netflix original movie, The Dirt. If you guys missed it last night, I reviewed Us, the brand new Jordan Peele film, and then tomorrow is Shazam! No lightning. I was pretty excited for this movie. I've been in a musical biopic mood here lately, especially with recent releases like Bohemian Rhapsody, and the trailer for Rocketman is getting everybody excited, so I was excited to see what they could do with the Motley Crue. I'm a fan of their music. I like the majority of their songs, and I saw this cast, and some people will look at this and go, well, I don't know any of those people, but I recognize a lot of these guys from very good supporting roles, especially our boy from Game of Thrones. I was happy to see him in there, and I'm excited to talk about this movie. I need you guys to get down in the comments section below. Let me know, were you anticipating this? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Whatever your thoughts are, I'm excited to see those in the comments down below. Now let's start talking about The Dirt. So this is the story of how Motley Crue became to be one of the most notorious rock and roll groups in history. And let's start with this cast. Douglas Booth, Daniel Weber, Machine Gun Kelly, of course, Iwan Rheon. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, at their boy from Game of Thrones. These are your band members, and I was curious to see how they were going to go about it, but you know what? I really enjoyed all four members of the band. I thought they fit their roles perfectly. You go back and you look at the actual pictures and how they acted, and I'm like, yep, that's good casting. Daniel Weber, you may not recognize him. I first saw him in the television show on Hulu, 11/27/63, I think that was the name, but he was very good as Lee Harvey Oswald, the man who assassinated John F. Kennedy. He plays a completely different character in this movie, and I really enjoyed that. I think the standout, though, honestly, is Machine Gun Kelly. He was awesome. He starts out the film basically, and you gravitate towards his character immediately, and then you're just on board from there on out with him. I was so interested to see where that character specifically was going to go because he just played the role so well. I didn't know he had these acting chops. We've seen him before, especially on Netflix, but in this film, I think this is the best role I've seen him play to date. Now, in terms of how they actually resemble the band, if you are a huge fan, you probably know more about Motley Crue than I do, and I am a fan, just not like completely invested like I was in, say, a band like Queen with Bohemian Rhapsody, and I love Queen, don't get me wrong, but this is a very different movie. A lot of people are going to look at this and compare it mostly because of the timing. It came out very close to when Bohemian Rhapsody came out, and no, this is not an Oscar caliber movie. Some will argue that Bohemian Rhapsody was not an Oscar caliber movie, but I'm not here to talk about that film. And I do have problems with The Dirt. As much as I can praise the cast and praise the emotional aspect, especially towards the end, that's why I started out this video going, whoa, because the end really does gut punch you, and I thought the last 30 minutes were really good and significantly better than the first half and even the first 2/3 of this movie. And not that it's bad, it's just kind of moving through the timeline of events, and you don't get to stay long enough to care about certain situations and care about character interactions. And in that aspect, I was disappointed with certain elements of this film. I wanted to learn more. It seems like they're there, you get to learn a bit about their characters' backstories, but then boom, they're in the band, and then boom, they're on stage, and then boom, they're famous. You never get time to soak in certain events. I never felt the buildup as a band. Maybe I did the buildup of the specific characters, but when they come together, it's like, oh, 5 minutes later, they're famous, and we never got to see that progression, and that's what I wanted from The Dirt. I wanted to see how they became the Motley Crue. We get the name in like 20 seconds, we get them on stage performing a few songs. We really didn't get to see them perform many of their famous songs. When we did get concert scenes, they were filmed fine. I mean, nothing special, nothing like seeing a few movies in theaters last year that had incredible concert scenes. I look at this, and maybe it is where I watched it on a smaller screen because this is on Netflix. You are watching this at home, but just the filmmaking and the shot selection, the cinematography, and even the color correction, I'm like, there's nothing really that special about these concert scenes, and it's a shame because I love the band and I love the music, and I thought the actors were doing really well. As good as I said Daniel Weber was as Vince, his lip syncing when he's moving his mouth and the music's coming out, I could tell more so that this was lip syncing than I have in a musical biopic in quite a while, and that's not necessarily a strike on the film because that's what they have to do if you're using the music from the Motley Crue. That's probably how it's going to go down, so I don't think I can count that as a negative. It's just something that I noticed. But once again, I wanted the concert scenes to be more, and I wanted time with certain characters to be more, and we get that towards the end. Like I said, the last 30 to 45 minutes, we really start to get into their personal life and how these problems are affecting them and what they're doing and what's happening to them. And I mentioned the emotional aspects, and if you don't know what happened to certain characters and their family members, I'm not going to say what happened because I didn't know the true backstory of that, and it did hit me because it's very emotional. It's kind of emotionally manipulative because it's like, oh, the audience is definitely going to cry during this scene and get sad during this scene, but I can't help it, guys. That got me, and it was really sad. And the end is really good. There are shots when they're all walking together, and I'm like, yeah, that's the Motley Crue. That is a really good way to get the fans' blood pumping, especially if you're a massive fan of the Motley Crue. And I don't want people to look at this review and go, oh, well, he clearly hates the band because he hates the movie. No, I didn't hate this movie. I actually had a pretty good time with it, and it's all about how does a movie make you feel at the end of the day. You can have critiques about the filmmaking and the cinematography and even the script, and I do think the script here was a weaker aspect of the film. Once again, I just wanted more out of it. The character of Razzle, what happens to him, you really could have gotten some strong emotion from a particular scene in this film with his character, but we only got to spend like 1 or 2 scenes with him before that, and I didn't care. I'm like, oh, I still barely know who that is, so I don't care about this scene. Once again, it's all about the buildup. It's how you flesh out these characters, and the fleshing out, just, it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. They hit on these beats, and they do it all throughout the movie, but they just hit on them. They never explore them, and I know you're trying to cram so much into 2 hours, and it's a hard thing to do. I just think the film focused on some things that it should not have focused on. Maybe shift your focus to this, and a lot of people would have been happier. Now, if you do want highlights of the Motley Crue, then I encourage you to watch this movie because it's got everything that you expect. It's got the drugs and the sex and the nudity, and it is, from what I know, a representation of what this band actually went through, and I know they were actually a part of the process, and they showed those things, and I respect that because some movies with the actual band involved and kind of producing the film will not show the bad parts. It's only going to show, oh, what was good about the Motley Crue, and I like that this movie is edgy and it took those risks and it showed all of the bad things, and the band members were like, yeah, you can show that because that was our lives. We want our lives represented on screen. And even though it was kind of a highlight reel and it did skip through a lot, I still feel, and I don't know, but I still feel like it was an accurate representation, and that's really all that fans of this band want, and I think you're going to get that out of this movie. And people who don't know a lot about the Motley Crue, you're definitely going to learn a lot. Maybe not as much as you want about certain situations, but I still think the movie is pretty solid for giving you just enough. And I have rambled long enough. Once again, if you like these Netflix reviews, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and comment your thoughts on this film below. I want to see what everyone else thinks, but I am going to give The Dirt a solid 3 out of 5, a 60%. I like the movie. I thought it did a good job of representing certain events. I just wanted more from the script. I wanted more investment into the characters, and I do think it shot over certain aspects of the story, but you know what? I think fans of this band are going to be satisfied, and I think it's another solid movie on Netflix. But what did you guys think? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like I said, tomorrow is Shazam, and later on, I have some very special videos coming. One in particular tomorrow called 5 series to watch on Netflix right now. I'm excited to drop that video. You guys are the absolute best, and I will catch you very soon.